Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India NewsHour, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour, Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds a cabinet committee on security meeting to review counter-terror operations after Pahalgam attack. The Indian Army warns Pakistan over unprovoked firing along the line of control. Prime Minister Modi to inaugurate the first World Audio Visual and Entertainment Summit, Waves, in Mumbai on Thursday. Hindu monk Chinmoy Krishnadas to remain in jail after Bangladesh top court suspends High Court order granting him bail in sedition case, hearing on Sunday. And the Kremlin says President Vladimir Putin open to a Ukraine peace deal, but warns that the outcome cannot be achieved as per US timeline. The Directors General of Military Operations of India and Pakistan spoke on a hotline amid Pakistan's unprovoked firing along the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir, Indian defense sources said on Wednesday. It is learned that the Indian side cautioned the Pakistani side over the unprovoked firing. The conversation between the two military officials took place on Tuesday. Prime Minister Modi on Wednesday held key meetings with his cabinet ministers to review the security situation following the Pahalgam terror attack that killed 26 people. More in the next report.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired back-to-back cabinet committee meetings in New Delhi on Wednesday. Cabinet committees in India are tasked with examining certain specific policy issues. The Prime Minister chaired the cabinet committees on security, economic affairs and political affairs. He capped it with a meeting on the full cabinet. Wednesday's meeting took place the day after the Prime Minister met with Defence Minister, National Security Advisor, the Chief of Defence Staff and the three service chiefs. The Cabinet Committee on Security had last met on April 23rd for a security review following the Pahalgam terror attack. That meeting had condemned the attack and condoled the families of victims. It had also resolved to bring the perpetrators of the attack and their sponsors to justice. Meanwhile, the Indian government has revamped the National Security Advisory Board. Alok Joshi, a former chief of India's External Intelligence Agency, has been appointed as the chairperson of the board. The board is an advisory body that provides inputs to the National Security Council Secretariat of India. On the diplomatic front, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar spoke to the foreign ministers of Algeria, Greece, Guyana, Panama, Sierra Leone, Slovenia and Somalia. They are all non-permanent members of the United Nations Security Council or UNSC. The UNSC comprises 5 permanent members, China, France, Russia, the UK and the US, and 10 non-permanent members elected for 2-year terms by the General Assembly. Minister Jaishankar's phone calls were part of New Delhi's diplomatic offensive in the wake of the Pahalgam terror attack. The minister also spoke to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Bureau Report, DD India.
External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar spoke to his Danish counterpart on Wednesday. In a post on X, the minister said, and I quote, "Spoke with Foreign Minister of Denmark Lars Rasmussen and appreciated his support and solidarity over the terrorist attack in Pahalgam." We also exchanged views on bilateral cooperation. Minister Jaishankar also spoke with Foreign Minister of Kuwait Abdullah Ali Al Yahya. He appreciated the call from Kuwait Foreign Minister and thanked him for Kuwait's solidarity and support in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terrorist attack. Now, Pakistani nationals are being deported from India following the Pahalgam terror attack. Till Tuesday, 786 Pakistani citizens returned home via the Atari border. But in a relief to Pakistani nationals living in India for a long time, India has expanded the exemptions beyond the group of long-term visa holders and included those whose applications for such visas are pending or are eligible for it.
Amidst countrywide crackdown to send back Pakistani citizens whose visas have expired, deportation of Pakistani nationals continues at the Atari border. While police vehicles brought some Pakistani citizens living in Jammu and Kashmir, many Pakistani citizens reached the border themselves due to fear of legal action. By the end of the extended deadline on Tuesday, 786 Pakistani citizens had returned home via the Atari border. New Delhi ordered almost all Pakistani citizens to leave the country following last week's deadly terrorist attack in Jammu and Kashmir's Pahalgam area. The government of India has revoked all categories of visas issued to Pakistani citizens except long-term and diplomatic and official visas effective April 27 and medical visas by April 29. The Union Ministry of Home Affairs or MHA has issued a stern directive making it clear that any Pakistani citizen who fails to exit India within the stipulated period will be prosecuted under the Immigration and Foreigners Act 2025. However, MHA has expanded the list of categories exempted from deportation. As per its guidelines, Pakistani Hindus who have applied for long-term visas or LTVs and whose applications are under process will be exempted from the deportation process. Exemption has also been granted to Hindu migrants who were eligible but had not applied for LTV on the condition that they apply immediately. Government of India provides 16 types of visa services to Pakistani citizens, which include SARC visa, visa on arrival, business visa, film visa, journalist visa, transit visa, medical visa, conference visa, mountaineering visa, student visa, diplomatic visa, official visa, long-term visa, visitor visa, group tourist visa, and religious pilgrim visa. Under the new policy, Government of India has cancelled 14 of the 16 visa categories previously available to Pakistani citizens. Diplomatic and long-term visas are exempted from the recent restrictions and will still be issued under specific humanitarian and settlement-related grounds. Long-term visas will be granted to Pakistani nationals from minority communities including Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Christians and Parsis who arrive in India with valid passports and express an intention to settle and seek Indian citizenship. Additionally, Pakistani women married to Indian citizens as well as Indian origin women of Pakistani nationality returning to India due to divorce, widowhood or other comparable reasons will also be eligible for such long-term visas. These measured exceptions reflect India's effort to balance national security concerns with humanitarian and familial considerations. Bureau Report, DD India.
In Bangladesh, the Appellate Division of the Supreme Court on Wednesday stayed a High Court order that had granted bail to Chinmoy Krishnadas, a spokesperson for Bangladesh Sammilita Sanatan Jagran Jyoth and a former ISKCON leader in a sedition case. Chamber Judge Justice Muhammad Rizal Haq fixed the date for hearing on a government appeal. Earlier in the afternoon, the High Court granted bail to Chinmoy Das in the case, reports United News of Bangladesh. The bench of Justices Muhammad Ataur Rahman and Muhammad Ali Reza passed the order. Still to come on DD India NewsHour. Germany's Friedrich Merz to form government after his SPD party backs a coalition deal with the conservative CDU party. Iran says the next round of nuclear talks with the US has been set for Saturday in Rome. And 16 security personnel killed in clashes near Syria's capital Damascus.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. between walkers, money is what money does, and says supply creates its own demand, between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium, we'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. The Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov on Wednesday said that President Vladimir Putin of Russia is open to peace in Ukraine and intense work is going on with the United States. Peskov said that Putin had expressed willingness for direct talks with Ukraine, but there had been no response from Kyiv.
Now the president remains open to political and diplomatic methods of resolving the conflict, but the situation is at risk. We heard no reaction from Kyiv. The process continues.
Но перед тем, как на это пойти, нужно ответить на ряд вопросов и урегулировать целый ряд нюансов, которые тоже президент Путин перечислил.
On Tuesday, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio declared that it was time for Ukraine and Russia to present concrete peace proposals or risk losing U.S. mediation altogether. The U.S. State Department warned that continued inaction could force the U.S. to step back from peace efforts. Both Kiev and Moscow claim to support progress, yet remain locked in mutual blame.
I do have something I can tell you that the Secretary said to me. We are now at a time where concrete proposals need to be delivered by the two parties on how to end this conflict. How we proceed from here is a decision that belongs now to the President. If there is not progress, we will step back as mediators in this process.
Conservative leader Friedrich Merz is set to lead Germany following a successful coalition deal with the Social Democrats. The new government aims to revive Germany's economy, tackle international challenges and ramp up defense spending amid NATO tensions as former Chancellor Olaf Scholz prepares to step down.
Conservative leader Friedrich Merz is all set to take charge of Germany on Tuesday as he has struck a power-sharing deal with Social Democrats. Merz's Christian Democratic Union, or CDU, will lead a new coalition government with a resounding 84.6% majority in party vote. SPD co-chair Lars Klingbeil is expected to take on the roles of finance minister and vice-chancellor. This follows Germany's snap elections on 23rd February, triggered by the collapse of Chancellor Olaf Scholz's three-way coalition last November. Merz CDU, CSU Conservatives, who toppled February's elections, clinched a coalition deal with the center-left Social Democrats SPD earlier this month as they race to form a new government to deal with an array of international crises. The German two parties aim to revive growth in Europe's largest economy as Trump's sweeping import tariffs threatens another year of recession. Germany faces yet another challenge to ramp up defense spending amid the strains in the transatlantic NATO alliance. Outgoing German Chancellor Olaf Scholz chaired his last weekly cabinet meeting on Wednesday before he hands over power to the incoming Merz-led government next Tuesday. Syed Afsarul Hassan for DD India.
And staying in Europe, Spain is investigating the causes behind a blackout that plunged much of the Iberian Peninsula into darkness with millions left without power, internet or phone service. As the country gradually returns to normal, authorities are now exploring the possibility of sabotage. The blackout on Monday disrupted Spain, Portugal and parts of France. Metro services were halted, traffic lights failed and businesses closed. Many passengers waited at the central station. Power was mostly restored by Tuesday, but the cause remains unclear. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has ordered a full investigation, while the country's top criminal court is probing potential sabotage of critical infrastructure. Grid operators in Spain and Portugal have ruled out a cyber attack, saying that there were no breaches in their control systems. Right, we now take you live to Washington, D.C. for Donald Trump's briefing after a cabinet meeting.
It's military led by President Donald Trump.
And the police, by the way.
Absolutely.
And fire. I always mention the fire, but the police and fire, likewise they have waiting lists now, and 6 months ago was a disaster.
Truly historic. We can barely absorb the volume and retention as well. Men and women in the military who don't want to get out now that they have a real commander-in-chief. We're reinforcing standards. We're going to be fit, not fat, in our formations. We welcome back all the folks that were forced out because of the COVID mandate. We've ripped wokeness out of the military, sir, DEI, trans, and it's Fort Benning and Fort Bragg again at the DOD. We're rebuilding the military, sir. The Golden Dome is well underway. F-47, reassuring allies and deterring enemies. We found nearly $6 billion in DOGE savings that we're going to reinvest, including $50 billion from the Biden administration focused on things like climate that have nothing to do with lethality and warfighting. And we will have, as you said, sir, the first $1 trillion budget that we plan to spend wisely on behalf of our warfighters. From day one, sir, we've helped get 100% operational control of the border, coming alongside DHS and CBP. We've got 11,000 troops on the border who now, because of the new national defense area, sir, can help detain illegals at the border and hand them over to CBP. It used to be if you saw camouflage on the border, they could hold binoculars, and that's it. And now we can detain and assist, and we're going to get 100% operational control of that border. Our NATO allies know they have to step up. The Houthis in the Middle East are feeling the weight of American power, and we're deterring communist China. So because of your leadership, sir, I believe we're making the military great again. And I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Howard?
So I have the pleasure of running the Investment Accelerator, which gets to recruit these companies. And you've never seen anything like the companies committed to building in America. Technology companies have committed over $2.5 trillion to build in America based on your tariffs, right? Sovereign countries, all backing, the whole Middle East and all these countries backing their sovereign wealth funds. They all want to invest in America, and they're coming in, again, over $3 trillion committed. So just those two topics, you're at $5.5 trillion, and then you've got the whole pharma industry knows it's got to come home because America pays for all the drugs of the world. So the pharmaceuticals have to come home, right? Autos coming home, industrials coming home. So, we've got to train, and your great Secretary of Labor together and Secretary of Education together, we're going to train the workforce to build America. It's unbelievable. We've got so much, as I travel around, the attention on the Trump Gold Card. I mean, it makes me very popular. Last night, I was out to dinner, and someone came up and said, can I buy 10? And how do I buy 10? And I'm like, that's pretty good. It's $50 million for dinner. So, I was paying for my dinner. The External Revenue Service, right? You've got the tariffs and the hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars coming in to build the External Revenue Service. That our objective, of course, is to replace the Internal Revenue Service and let those outside countries trading with us, let them pay their fair share to America. And then, of course, you got rid of de minimis. And what happened is these foreign countries were sending in little packages for free and knocking out our mom and pop businesses across America. You put an end to it, and you're going to rebuild the mom and pop and the small business of America. You're their president, and I'm proud to support you.
It's very important. De minimis. It's a big deal. It's a big scam going on against our country, against really small businesses, and we put an end to it.
Mr. President, so CAFE standards, we have the fuel economy standards on vehicles that are going to.
And in more news from the US, President Donald Trump marked the completion of the first 100 days of his second term in office on Tuesday by holding a campaign-style rally in the state of Michigan. Since his inauguration on 20th January, Trump has pursued a sweeping and controversial agenda affecting the economy, immigration and international trade. DD India's Diptanshu Kashyap reports.
As US President Donald Trump completes the first 100 days of his second term, his administration continues to dominate headlines with both executive decisions and sweeping policy changes. Marking the milestone with a rally in Michigan, Trump announced a major military upgrade for the state: the deployment of new Boeing F-15EX fighter jets to the Selfridge Air National Guard base.
As Commander-in-Chief, I'm proud to announce that very soon we will replace the retiring A-10 Warthogs with 21 brand new F-15EX Eagle II fighter jets, the best in the world, fresh off the line. This will keep Selfridge at the cutting edge of Northern American air power.
Amid chants of support, Trump described his first 100 days as the most successful of any US administration, despite growing unease over economic volatility and political polarization. In a speech that echoed his campaign rhetoric, he took aim at his political rivals, calling President Joe Biden sleepy, denouncing the media as fake, and lashing out at judges, Democrat alike.
We cannot allow a handful of communist, radical left judges to obstruct the enforcement of our laws and assume the duties that belong solely to the President of the United States. Judges are trying to take away the power given to the President to keep our country safe.
Beyond the rally, Trump has taken swift action in Washington. In just 100 days, he has signed 142 executive orders, 37 of them in the first week alone. He has also revoked over 100 directives, including 78 from the Biden era. Meanwhile, the creation of the Department of Government Efficiency has triggered mass federal restructuring, affecting tens of thousands of employees in a bid to streamline bureaucracy. On immigration, the administration reported a record low of 7,180 southwest border crossings in March. Trump's high-stakes tariff policy has drawn attention, with rates reaching up to 25%, pushing the average effective tariff to a 100-year high of 28%. Inflation, however, has eased slightly, dipping to a 6-month low of 2.4%. Diptanshu Kashyap's report for DD India.
There's been a major shift in US trade policy, with Trump signaling a softer tone in tariff talks with India and announcing a fresh relief for the American auto industry. After months of tough rhetoric and tit-for-tat duties, Washington, D.C. now appears to be easing up, at least for the moment. Our next report takes a closer look at what this means for India, the global auto industry and US-Europe relations.
Good news on the India-US trade front. US President Donald Trump has signaled progress in tariff talks with India, expressing confidence that a deal could be reached soon.
India is coming along great. I think we'll have a deal with India. The Prime Minister, as you know, was here 3 weeks ago, and they want to make a deal. We'll see what happens.
Trump had earlier slapped a 26% reciprocal tariff on Indian imports, but later paused it for 90 days to allow time for broader trade discussions and negotiations. In a separate move, Trump signed an executive order easing overlapping tariffs on the auto sector. Automakers will no longer face double duties, one on imported vehicles and another on metals like steel and aluminium. The decision comes after weeks of lobbying by industry players worried about rising costs, plant closures, and job losses. Trump also gave manufacturers 2 years to increase the share of US-made parts in domestically built cars. However, US President Donald Trump said the contraction in the US economy had nothing to do with his tariff wars and predicted the economy would boom when tariffs kick in. Trump blamed Biden overhang for US current economic woes. But uncertainty remains. Trump's shifting tariff policies are prompting concern in Europe. Some smaller firms are now rethinking expansion into the US amid a volatile trade landscape.
Wir sind die Exportnation.
As a major exporter, this dispute initially hurts Germany, but it could push Europe to unite and act more strategically in global markets.
Trump's hardline rhetoric, claiming other nations have been screwing the US for years, reflects his frustration with trade deficits, including a $235 billion gap with the EU. But it's also raising political and diplomatic temperatures worldwide. Bureau Report, DD India.
Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi says Tehran will hold talks with Britain, France and Germany in Rome on Friday. The talks aim to ease tensions and improve strained relations ahead of a fourth round of nuclear discussions with the US this weekend. Araghchi slammed Europe's diminished role because of its past policies, but confirmed that Tehran proposed Friday's meeting with the E3 and the European officials confirmed it.
In my view, the three European countries' role has been diminished due to their wrong policies in the past. Of course, we are not in favor of this situation, and for this reason we prepared to meet with the three European countries and hold it in Rome. 4 rounds have been held so far. We are interested in this issue being resolved and concluded within an international understanding, with a global perspective towards it, and we will continue our own negotiations with the Europeans. But the primary negotiations at present are with the United States.
Tensions flare in the Damascus suburb of Jaramana, where Druze fighters have taken to the streets following deadly sectarian clashes with pro-government forces. At least 13 people were killed overnight as violence spread near the capital. The unrest was reportedly sparked by a voice recording insulting the Prophet Muhammad, believed by Sunni militants to have come from a member of the Druze minority. Meanwhile, tensions spike in the South China Sea as China slams joint drills by the Philippines and the US. More than 14,000 troops are taking part in the joint exercise, even as China's Coast Guard steps up patrols near the Scarborough Shoal.
Tensions flared in the South China Sea as China accused the Philippines of creating unrest during joint patrols with allies. While over 14,000 US and Philippine troops are participating in the exercises, which run until May 9, Chinese Navy is conducting patrol since Tuesday. Beijing called the drills proactive, but Manila defended its rights to operate within its territorial waters.
I don't think that this is related to the issue in the South China Sea. It just so happened, as that General Sabe just says, we have been doing this for 40 years now. There's no issue with China 40 years ago. There's still there's a little bit of a problem, but I don't think it is related. We planned this independently. We plan this without taking into consideration what are our issues as a country. So I think this is a totally different agenda we have with the US and the other partner countries.
China's Coast Guard said it conducted law enforcement patrols near the disputed Scarborough Shoal on Wednesday, intensifying operations since early April with tracking, surveillance and interception activities carried out in accordance with laws and regulations.
We oppose any attempt to form cliques and factions in the region and escalate regional tensions. I also want to point out that China's sovereignty and related rights in the East China Sea and the South China Sea were formed in a long historical process and are in line with the international law, including the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. China's activities in the relevant waters are reasonable and legal and beyond reproach.
Territorial disputes in the South China Sea have persisted for centuries, but tensions have grown in recent years, driven by China's expansive sovereignty claims. These claims have drawn strong opposition from other regional claimants, including Vietnam, the Philippines, Taiwan, Malaysia, and Brunei. Bureau Report, DD India.
And still to come on DD India NewsHour. A discussion on the Indian government holding security review meetings in the wake of the Pahalgam terror attack. The Indian government decides to conduct a nationwide caste census. And the Char Dham Hindu pilgrimage begins in India. You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. A quick recap of the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds a cabinet committee on security meeting to review counter-terror operations after Pahalgam attack. The Indian Army warns Pakistan over unprovoked firing along the line of control. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate the first World Audiovisual and Entertainment Summit Waves in Mumbai on Thursday. And the Kremlin says President Vladimir Putin open to a Ukraine peace deal but warns that the outcome cannot be achieved as per US timeline. Right, going back to the top story we are tracking here on DD India NewsHour, Prime Minister Modi holds key meetings with his cabinet ministers to review security in the wake of the Pahalgam terror attack. And joining us is Major General S.P. Asthana, retired. General Asthana is a former Director General of Infantry of the Indian Army. He is also a PhD on China from the Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. General, welcome to DD India NewsHour. Now, how do you read Wednesday's meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Security? It was the second such meeting in 1 week.
The meeting certainly highlights the seriousness which the Indian government is dealing with the issue and the seriousness of the response which the India has to give in terms of the dastardly attack launched and sponsored by Pakistan Army. Now, when I look at as to what Pakistan Army did, and if I have to summarize their aim and strategy, certainly Pakistan military hierarchy, especially their chief, felt that he is coming under pressure from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Baluchistan. Also, the POK wanted to divert the attention, spoke on a Hindu-Muslim card to perhaps stoke some kind of Hindu-Muslim divide in India, and also a Kashmir issue to perhaps gain some kind of sympathy or diversion, which he thought that he strongly deserves. Now, their strategy of Hindu-Muslim divide has failed completely. There's no doubt about it. Entire country is united. Kashmiris have rejected it, and this time it has been quite outrageous for the simple reason because it has hit their livelihood and their I think their prosperity and everything which they thought of. So therefore, the hatred towards Pakistan Army is so much now that hereafter an agenda of Pakistan Army to say no, we worry for the people of Kashmir. I don't think that narrative will any time hold ground.
Okay.
Now let's put in context as to what we have done and what is our aim and strategy. There is no doubt that these terrorists will be taken care of by the security forces, but these terrorists are very low-level operators. The mastermind is Pakistan military, and therefore the center of gravity of Indian operations and multi-domain operations and directing the entire comprehensive national power of India should be towards Pakistan military and Pakistani military hierarchy. Now, how it falls in place? Earlier, the strikes which we had done, surgical strike or Balakot strike, only one domain of power was used or one domain of warfare was used, and that was military. This time, we have used all elements of comprehensive national power, and some more will be used as the time progresses.
Right.
Like the Indus Water Treaty. The overall strategy should be that we have to decrease the influence of Pakistan military and increase the influence of others, that is including Pakistan people, so that enough pressure is brought on Pakistan military that your terror attacks are becoming a havoc for the country.
Right.
Now, how this can be achieved is, we know that there is disgruntlement in Balochistan, we know that there is disgruntlement in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. At the same time, and also say in Sindh and POK, but in Pakistan, Punjab, from where the heartland is, where the military hierarchy comes from, and that is supposed to be the most prosperous region, but that depends hell of a lot on water.
Right.
So I think a very right strategy was brought in of holding in abeyance the Indus Water Treaty, because that hits the announcement itself crashed their stock exchange. At the same time, the investments on agriculture sector will reduce, the workforce will reduce, and therefore there will be an anger in the only lonely state, Punjab, which was with Pakistan army. So that should be one issue. The second thing is the economic cost.
Right.
Economic cost is very important in terms of, like today, if they have $9 billion reserve, we must ensure that they expand all those $9 billion reserves in the next 15 days. Now, how this can be done is, we have mobilized, so they have also mobilized. They are also doing a hell of a lot of exercises. Interestingly, no Indian official has said that we are going for a conventional war. But they have certainly been saying, no, there is a war and attack is imminent and all that. So let them be, let them face that fact.
Right.
So mobilization costs money. Similarly, if so much of oil is used for mobilizing all those tanks and all, the people on ground will not find oil and again curse Pakistan army. And the information warfare campaign must say that it is because of Pakistan military's irresponsible acts that you people are suffering.
Right.
Similarly, we must now identify, I'm sure there will be somebody must be listening, and we must now identify all the Pakistani military run financial establishments and industry. And they all must be statistically targeted one by one. Even if they are not doing business with us, people who are doing business with them, they should be perhaps...
Indeed, and just to build on the point you're making, General, their report suggests that the Prime Minister has given a free hand to India's military to respond to the Pahalgam terror attack. Your thoughts on the operational freedom given to the Army, Navy and Air Force to decide on 1, the mode, 2, the targets, and 3, the timing?
I think it's a very welcome step in a manner that when and where and with what force we must strike, that should be left to the military hierarchy, which has been rightly done. And the logic is very simple. With whatever mobilization has been done, certainly all their terrorists would have been out of the terrorist camps. So therefore, we will have to factor these as to which is the target.
Okay.
That we will leave it to. That discussion certainly may not be appropriate on the television.
Right.
But notwithstanding that, the planning process will have to cater for all the factors and to ensure that again the center of gravity remains Pakistan military. Every operation we launch must reduce the effectiveness.
Okay.
And our combat power versus their combat power, and our comprehensive national power versus their comprehensive national power, it should reduce the impact. Also, we need to take into account in the entire calculations as to what Chinese can help. They may not intervene. We are quite clear on that. But
indeed, that was the point I was trying to make
help.
here, General. How do you view China's response to the Pahalgam terror attack? Would China involve itself overtly or covertly with Pakistan when India does avenge the Pahalgam terror attack?
See, as far as Chinese are concerned, directly I don't visualize their involvement.
Okay.
In case there is a military action, I don't visualize Chinese involvement directly. But indirectly, like in terms of the information, giving them information, giving them some more kind of ammunition or some logistic support, and maybe some kind of cyber attack, some kind of some other, shall I say, indirect help, that can be done. Well, because see, Chinese also have some kind of stake in Pakistan. That strategic location is important to China.
Right.
And also Chinese engage hell of a lot with Pakistan military. If you recall, CPC is being governed and organized and managed by Pakistan military. So they have a stakes in Pakistan military. And now that we intend targeting the influence of Pakistan military, Chinese may try and help them out. They are also helping them out in diplomatically, because if you recall, in UNSC, they have watered down the resolution in some manner or the other, not naming the group, and also saying that we should help all the relevant parties instead of naming India. So these are the kinds of help which China can give to them. But I am very, very sure that with the kind of equation which China has with USA and the kind of trade war going on, and the kind of engagement with India, they may not like to get involved directly. Also, Chinese are very clear in their strategy. They will get involved with any country only if it interests them. In this particular case, I don't think Chinese draw any major benefits because the TTP is certainly targeting them. And with this kind of activity, maybe that those, in case Pakistan military gets oriented towards eastern border, I think TTP and BLA will get even freer hand to target Chinese investments.
Right.
So I don't visualize there is a cost to pay for Chinese as well.
Fair enough. And finally, General, if we take a random sampling of which countries are siding with Pakistan, would China and Turkey be an obvious choice? In other words, conversely speaking, is world opinion now firmly in India's favor?
The world opinion is in India's favor. Turkey has a reason to side with Pakistan because of the Erdogan wants to become the leader of Muslim world and things like that. So they may send some drones, or they would have already sent some drones. Chinese have a strategic interest in Pakistan, so they would like to perhaps not let Pakistan be, shall I say, the influence of army should not go down to an extent that it undermines Chinese interest. So that would be their level of perhaps help. Otherwise, even if Pakistan wants more money, everybody is hesitant to give money to Pakistan because they certainly don't use it for the right purposes. We also have to launch a very major, I should say, information campaign. Their people will have to be made aware of that your GDP is growing down consistently and your military expenditure is increasing, and all the acts which Asif Munir is doing is hinting towards additional expenditure and additional burden on all of you. As of now, every Pakistani has got almost about 2 odd lakhs of, shall I say, debt on his head. It will keep increasing and they will not get all their necessities, water, petrol, everything. So it's a nuisance, and earlier they reduced the influence of this nuisance, better it is.
All right, on that note, General Astana, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your perspectives with our viewers at home and abroad. Thank you for your time. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Right, moving on, Prime Minister Modi chaired the 46th Pragati interaction on Wednesday. He reviewed 8 significant projects worth over 90,000 crore rupees. He directed that all ministries and departments should ensure that identification of beneficiaries is done strictly through biometric-based Aadhaar authentication or verification. He said that Ring Road should be integrated as a key component of broader urban planning efforts that align with cities' growth trajectory. He reviewed Jal Marg Vikas project and directed that efforts should be made to establish a strong community connect along the stretches for boosting cruise tourism. He reiterated the importance of leveraging tools such as PM Gati Shakti and other integrated platforms to enable holistic and forward-looking planning. Up to the 46th edition of the Pragati meetings, 370 projects having a total cost of around rupees 20 lakh crore have been reviewed. The Indian government on Wednesday decided to include the caste enumeration in the forthcoming census exercise. The Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs, chaired by Prime Minister Modi, has taken a decision in this regard. Briefing media in New Delhi about the decision, the Information Broadcasting Minister Ashwini Vaishnav said some states have done this well, while some others have conducted such surveys purely from a political angle and in a non-transparent way.
30/4/2025 के दिन प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में राजनीतिक विषयों की कैबिनेट समिति ने यह निर्णय लिया है कि जातियों की गणना को आने वाली जनगणना में सम्मिलित किया जाए। यह इस बात को दर्शाता है कि वर्तमान सरकार देश और समाज के सर्वांगीण हितों और मूल्यों के लिए प्रतिबद्ध है। जैसे कि पहले भी जब समाज के गरीब वर्गों को 10% आरक्षण का प्रावधान किया गया, तब भी समाज के किसी घटक में तनाव उत्पन्न नहीं हुआ था।
The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs also approved a project to develop a 166.8 kilometer long 4-lane access controlled greenfield highway from Meklongkong in Meghalaya to Panchgram in Silchar, Assam. The corridor, mostly in Meghalaya, aims to boost connectivity between Guwahati and Silchar, reduce travel time, enhance logistics efficiency, support regional economic development and promote tourism in the northeast. The project aligns with the PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal interacted with the India-Norway business community at the Innovation Norway Centre. The minister spoke about India's commitment to enhancing ease of doing business, fostering a robust investment climate and positioning the country as a global leader in talent and technology. The minister also highlighted the transformative potential of the Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement, presenting it as a gateway for Norwegian investors to explore new opportunities in India's expanding markets. And now we get you all the updates from the much anticipated milestone event Waves 2025, which is set to open in Mumbai. The Maiden World Audiovisual and Entertainment Summit, or WAVES, is set to open at Mumbai's Geo World Convention Centre on Thursday. Prime Minister Modi will inaugurate it. The opening day will see panel discussions featuring actors such as Amitabh Bachchan and Akshay Kumar as the moderator. A 30-member orchestra will showcase the journey of Indian cinema. An invocation by M.M. Keeravani will also take place. DD India's Deepika Metho reports.
The stage is all set and India is all set to welcome more than 30 countries from all across the globe, right from leading industry talents to all the stakeholders related to the industry of world audio, visual and entertainment. Waves is all set to open with a grand glitz opening ceremony.
The first ever World Audio, Visual and Entertainment Summit 2025, or WAVES, is all set to open in Mumbai with a grand ceremony witnessing performances by various renowned artists. The event will be inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi at Mumbai's Geo World Convention Centre. From a stirring invocation by M.M. Keeravani to a 30-member orchestra showcasing journey into India's cinema and storytelling, the event will open with glitz and glamour. The flagship event, organized by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, aims at bringing together the world's leading media, entertainment and technology giants beginning from May 1st and will conclude on May 4th. The event is all set to be attended by more than 30 countries, film and television personalities, whereas Day 1 will have a high-profile panel discussion titled Legends and Legacies, the stories that shaped India's soul, featuring iconic actors such as Amitabh Bachchan, Hema Malini and more. And the session will be moderated by actor Akshay Kumar.
It's a great initiative, and for India to host an event like that, it's very inspiring for all the youth. It's very inspiring for all the creators. I think it's a great hub to start off with. I think something like for us, I think it's a great opportunity where you can really showcase your talent, and India becomes that hub to nurture it.
The inaugural function will be a showcase of India's culture, tradition and India's growth in the media and entertainment industry, beginning with the help of various segments and pavilions. These include Bharat Pavilion. The Bharat Pavilion is a tribute to India's soul, encapsulating the country's ancient storytelling legacy, offering global audiences a deep dive into India's media. Exhibition Pavilion. The Exhibition Pavilion is a dynamic showcase of imagination meeting innovation. From cutting-edge technology to future-forward trends, it exhibits Indian and global breakthroughs in media and entertainment. Gaming Arcade. The Gaming Arcade is an electrifying hub of immersive gameplay. Waves Bazaar. The Waves Bazaar is a global marketplace for the creator economy that facilitates B2B and B2G collaborations, buyer-seller meets, co-production tie-ups, and the exchange of content rights across formats, from scripts and music to niche content like animation and comics. WaveX. The WaveX is a platform where visionary ideas turn into global ventures through live pitching sessions, funding opportunities, and showcasing innovations in the media and entertainment sector. Creatosphere. Creatosphere is a visionary hub crafted by creators. It is a dynamic stage celebrating imagination and innovation, tradition and technology. Apart from this, the event will also host global media dialogue along with a national gathering on community radio. As the first ever event of its kind, Waves 2025 will promote cultural diversity, innovation and equitable access to media platforms.
So what are you waiting for? Stay tuned with DD India for all the latest updates from Mumbai as we bring you all the latest information from Waves, world's and India's first audio, visual and entertainment summit that will bring you an array of opportunities and entertainment. With camera person Monty, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Mumbai.
And India takes center stage at Waves 2025, where creativity meets technology. India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati is set to play a pivotal role in taking it to the world using 4K coverage and seamless transmission. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya has more.
In a world fueled by stories, innovation and creativity, India is stepping boldly into a new era of possibilities. Welcome to Waves Summit 2025, where imagination meets industry and the future of global media is being shaped. This year, Waves Summit brings together the brightest minds, visionary creators and industry pioneers from across the world, all under one roof, united by one vision: to position India as the global hub for media and entertainment. Bringing this extraordinary event to life is Prasar Bharati, the official media broadcaster for Waves Summit 2025.
Prasar Bharati has always worked very closely with all the broadcasters within India. Whether it is sharing our own infrastructure with other radio stations or also providing TV channels with a platform to carry their signals to the audiences through the DD Free Dish. So similarly, the Waves OTT allows a number of other channels. More than 70-75 channels are already being broadcast there. And there are also a very large number of content producers who've used this platform to take their content to the audiences. And we've always firmly believed that it's mutually beneficial for the sector to grow as a whole. It benefits us, it benefits the other broadcasters, and of course our audiences all over India and all over the world.
Harnessing the power of 4K technology, Prasar Bharati is delivering every moment in breathtaking detail. With a massive deployment of over 80 cameras, including 3 Jimmy Jibs for smooth cinematic shots and 4 RF cameras for dynamic moving coverage, every angle, every story is captured flawlessly. The magic doesn't stop there. To ensure seamless transmission, Prasar Bharati is transporting signals from Mumbai via satellite and cutting-edge GSM mobile technology using more than 20 advanced backpack transmitters across the venue. And for precision and flexibility, robotic PTZ cameras are also in action, covering every corner, every expression, every break.
But with high gold prices, people are conservative about investing too much this festive season. And that's all for this edition of DD India NewsHour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can get the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code now on your screen to download it. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.